Yo, it's me, it's the SEOTT. And welcome. Hold on, why is it tilted? It seems tilted. There we go. Alright, so I wanted to do this for a while, and I kept putting it off, but now it's time to review Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 1. So, as a child of the 90s, it's no secret, I'm a Power Rangers fan. Have been since day one. It baffles me that some people say, oh, I stopped watching after Mighty Morphin Power Rangers because it wasn't worth it anymore. What? I get it. There's some people who only like certain characters, but those same characters kept carrying on and on and on for a few seasons, but yet Mighty Morphin was it. Okay, fine, sure, that's fine. Season 1. First of all, if you don't know, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is actually a fusing together of two different types of TV shows. There's the Japanese Super Sentai, hope I'm saying this right, Zero Ranger, mixed with American footage filmed in America, or now it's New Zealand. And here, they mix them together, and so it works, sort of. In the earlier seasons, it's kind of hard to, or it's very easy, I should say, to notice this transition. When you go from regular American footage to Japanese stock footage from Super Sentai, it's very easy to figure out. The American footage is shot very well. The Japanese footage is very grainy because it's stock footage, so you can tell. And also, you can tell the monsters are all Japanese, especially Rita Repulsa, who's the main villain. She's going to a voice that's clearly not saying those kind of words, you know. She's going, and you, oh, we must, oh, you think you can stop me, do you? It's doesn't, you know, you can tell clearly. And, you know, in later seasons there are some things, you know, that sometimes where it happens, you get it. So what is the main story here? The story here is that Rita Repulsa has escaped from her dimensional dumpster prison thanks to some stupid astronauts who are on the moon in daylight. For some reason there's daylight on the moon. I don't know. But she's released. So Zordon, protector of Earth, calls upon Alpha 5, his trusty assistant, to summon 5 teenagers with attitude. And they are Jason Lee Scott, played by Austin St. John, Trini Kwan, played by Thoy Tran, Billy Cranston, played by David Yost, Zachary Taylor, played by Walter Jones, and Kimberly Hart, played by Amy Jo Johnson. And they are brought together to fight Rita Repulsa. And eventually, we do meet the Green Ranger, Tommy Oliver, played, of course, by Jason David Frank. Now, as a single forward narrative in the story, there is no one. There isn't one. It's just Rita is released, Rita has escaped, Rangers need to fight her. There are multi-parters throughout the season, like Island of Illusion, Doomsday, and most notably Green with Evil and the Green Candle, which are two of the big multi-parters, which I won't go into here because I'm going to do separate reviews of them. But they are two of the best two-parters in the Mighty Morphin series. But yeah, so yeah, like I said, after being defeated by the Rangers a few times, she decides I'm going to make my own Ranger and brings forth Tommy, who is a new kid, and she, you know, tests him in fighting off putties, which I could fight off putties. They're so stupid. But so I could be the Green Ranger. Just saying. And she brings forth Tommy as the Green Ranger, and that arc's actually pretty good. And as a kid growing up, I never really understood why the Green Ranger wasn't on there so much, why he kept losing his powers. But then when I grew up, I found out that in the Sentai, the Green Ranger actually died, which is why there's not so much footage of him in that, and why in season 2 his suit looks way different and his shield is fabric, because they had to make a new suit and they were too cheap to actually make it look like the original. Also, a question you may be asking Power Rangers if you see the pictures is why the Pink Ranger has a skirt and the Yellow Ranger does not, despite the fact that they are both women. That's because in the Sentai, Yellow Ranger was a man, and they wanted more, diversity between the cast. They got two women, and yes, okay. Speaking of diversity, I'm not gonna hide the fact that they have a black guy as the Black Ranger and the Asian chick or Asian woman as the Yellow Ranger. I'm not gonna hide that, and the fact that Jason David Frank has Native American background and he later becomes Red Ranger. I'm not gonna go in that because that's just a coincidence. All right, they're not racist or anything. It's just a coincidence. Like I said, there's no narrative within the season guiding them from the beginning to the end like later seasons would. It's just them fighting bad guys. In fact, the season finale doesn't really have a finale type feel to it. It's just another episode. Let's talk about characters. Now, the characters in this, at least our main characters, are done very well. They represent their archetype. You got Jason, who's heavily into martial arts and stuff, and he's good with that. And you have Zach, who also does martial arts, but he's a dancer. And you see him reflect that onto his martial arts. He dances with it. Billy is the nerd. He's a smart one. He has his own little lab in his garage. And while he does dabble in some martial arts, that's not his overall character. Trini does some martial arts, but she's like yoga stuff or whatever it is. And Kimberly is a gymnast. And they use that in how they fight. Now, I love Tommy. When they bring him in, he's basically a clone of Jason. Martial arts, martial arts, martial arts. If you know Jason David Frank, he's heavily into martial arts. So that's basically, he's just himself in this. So yeah, background characters. You have Miss Appleby, who is their school teacher, who shows up from time to time in school and stuff. You have Mr. Kaplan, their school principal, whose real only purpose is for his running gag, which is that something happens to him, his toupee falls off in comedy. You have Ernie, who runs the juice bar where the Power Rangers frequent very often. And you have Bulk and Skull, who perhaps go on a more meaningful journey throughout the franchise than the Power Rangers themselves, as they go from being these bullies to being probably the Power Rangers' greatest allies in the end. And yeah, we'll get into that more as the seasons go on, but here they're very much just the stock bullies. And it's cheesy. Yes, sure, but they're stock bullies. As far as atmosphere goes, it's alright. Okay, so going from Sentai to American footage, I touched on that, but I can't help from the fact that they go from being in a park and they morph and they're in a rock quarry or something. Finding like that. It's very weird, but it happens because they have to transition the Sentai footage. In the first season, though, they do kind of try to keep with that, where they morph and they immediately teleport. But then later they just decided not to try to cover that. Like in the first episode, it's very jarring because they're fighting off putties out where the as in their human forms, out where the command center is, out in the desert and stuff, Vasquez Rocks, whatever. And then they morph, and then they're immediately taking away from that battle with the putties to fight Goldar in the city because stock footage. And growing up, I'm like, why did they do that? They're not done fighting the putties. And now as a grown up, I know, an adult, I know, hey, stock footage. They had to do it with stock footage. So it works. It works. So overall, season 1 is cheesy. Yes, I'm watching it in 2020. You're not going to have the best time with it, especially this season. Some of the later seasons might be better. I can tell you they are, but it's cheesy. It's going to be cheesy. And it's going to be dumb and stuff like that, but it's classic television, if you grew up with it, if you like I did, you probably not going to affect you. But if you're trying to introduce someone into it now who's not a kid, probably going to be like, what is this shit, But other than that, it's not bad for a starting point for a series. And yeah, so I'm gonna give it a C. My TV series I do letter rankings. It's not nothing really to write home about, like from the beginning, and I forgot where I was going here, and it's not the best. Even in my ranking, remember my ranking I did those like 3 or 4 videos that I did in my rankings. It wasn't in my top 5, probably top 10 I think it was, but it's not my top 5 because quality gets better. It's the quality of it, but it's decent, so it gets a C. So let me know. So what are your thoughts on my Power Rangers Season 1? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty. May the power protect you.